Time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catafamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it is great to have you in studio with us today. We are going to sit down with Sedona Parks and Recreation Manager Steve Richardson. Sedona.gov/Posse Grounds Park Survey is a website I'll mention several times for you today, but Sedona is thinking about doing some changes to Posse Grounds Park. Steve joins us today to talk about what those four options are. Welcome, Steve. It's great to have you in with me today to talk about this project going on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's start with this. How long has this been in the works for right now, this idea of maybe changing Posse Grounds Park around a bit?
Just over a year now. So last year, 2020, early 2020, we brought in a third-party consultant to basically put together an evaluation of the current amenities at Posse Grounds Park. We brought in stakeholders, we did surveys, community meetings, and things like that to evaluate what is at the park currently and what could be. From there is how we came up with these four options that were put together.
Okay, and I know last spring in March we were going to be doing some public meetings and things to have folks come in and be able to walk around and take a look at the diagrams that you've sent out. But then COVID-19 hit, and so that was all kind of quashed and put down. So what's been going on in the past year up until this point, since we didn't really have those meetings take place?
Yeah, to a degree we did. In February, we had a charrette where we had a couple of these versions of these options, I'll say, where we invited the community to come in. And then, COVID did slow things down a little bit. We got hit in March and it pumped the brakes on it a little bit, but we're back at it now and excited to continue with this process.
Okay, we have four different options. There's option A, B, C, and D. Again, the website you're going to want to go to, and the city of Sedona just announced that they have now started a survey that's going to run through January 24th. So if you're a Sedona resident or somebody who visits Sedona on a regular basis and you'd like to utilize Posse Grounds Park, this is something you're going to want to take a look at and see what kind of changes are being proposed, if any changes happen at all. But the website again is sedonaaz.gov/Posse Grounds Park Survey. So if you go there, you can look at the four different options that Steve and I are going to be talking about this morning. I think we should probably, let's real quick, what kind of led up to the decision to even make any changes at Posse Grounds Park? Maybe we can start there.
Sure. I think, and I will tell you this started before I began in the position about a year and a half ago. The process ultimately began. I think, there's a lot of desire for different amenities. We're seeing, one big thing is we have two softball fields and we just haven't seen them being utilized the way they did maybe 10 years ago. And the park is morphed into much more of an event space these days. There's desire for more pickleball. So just a lot of things a lot of comments and suggestions that we were hearing over time is kind of what sparked this to make some changes to the park that ultimately can better serve the community. That's where it originated from. And then the next step, as I mentioned, was the evaluation process. And now we're on to the selecting an option, making some tweaks and pushing forward from there. But I do want to mention.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention that we really do appreciate anyone that can go in and take the time to select an option. And then at the bottom of the option, it's very, very easy survey. Select the option you like. And then at the bottom, we have a space where you can leave comments or suggestions. So, for example, if you love option A but want a disc golf course or think there should be 4 more pickleball courts, we want to hear those comments as well. These options are not 100% set in stone by any means. It's going to give us a baseline to go from there, and then we'll make small tweaks to the option from there.
We were talking just before the show started about how recreation ideas change over the years. I was telling Steve that my brother used to race RC cars at Posse Grounds Park when he was a kid, and that RC car racetrack has been gone for many years now. So it just shows that as we progress in time in life, that we decide we need different amenities to recreate at. And you were mentioning, so 2 softball fields maybe not getting used as much, so you start seeing that, okay, these amenities that were used heavily at one point in time, maybe not so much anymore, so how can we utilize that space better and bring ourselves current with recreational needs? That's pretty interesting to think about how that happens. Let's jump into, we've got 4 to go through, so let's jump into Posse Grounds Park, option A. What is option A all about?
Okay. So we'll go in order from least change to most change, essentially. And I want folks to keep in mind, too, that with the more change, the more cost there is. And we haven't tied cost to each option just yet because there's just so many variables that go into the different amenities and things. But option A is the least amount of change. What it does is it combines both of the softball fields and the multi-purpose fields. So essentially there's a massive town lawn that you can have soccer, you can have softball, and a large grass event space, which is something throughout the evaluation process we heard quite a bit. Posse Grounds has hosted some major events, Oktoberfest, the mountain bike festival is become really huge, wine festival, and lots of other large scale events. We heard we need more parking, we need more grass event space. So this one delivers that. There's also, you'll see on every option is an optional children's garden. And basically there's a group in town that's pushing for a children's garden. And it's not just a children's garden, it's for adults. And it's very interesting, but they would provide the funding for that and the operational expenditures there. In this one, there adds 8 pickleball courts, which I will tell you, we heard that a lot throughout the process as well, that there's a demand for specific lighted pickleball courts. Right now we have them lined.
How many are there now, Steve?
So right now there's 2, and they're lined on the tennis court. So we have 2 tennis courts, and then the pickleball courts are lined, and there's a lot more pickleball players than there used to be. As you mentioned, with trends changing, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the country right now. So this one brings 8 lighted pickleball courts, and then that leaves the tennis courts specifically for tennis, which I know the tennis players like that as well.
Okay.
Another thing on all options is a turf area in the dog park, and again, in all options is additional parking. With these events, we've had issues with parking to where promoters have to shuttle in folks from other areas throughout the city.
So let me ask you this, with the parking up there, would that make any changes needed? Is it still Posse Grounds Park, kind of one entrance into Posse Grounds Park from 89A, or is there a second entrance still from off of Soldiers Pass Road? I want to say that's where the other entrance is.
Correct, yeah. So you can get there on 89A through Posse Grounds Road as well as Soldiers Pass Road. And when we were going through the evaluation, they were looking at basically turning it into one entrance, and we found out very quickly that folks weren't keen on that, and they like the accessibility and be able to get through the park, if that makes sense. So the egress.
How much parking is in the park right now? And how much would we like to add to it?
I'm not sure on total spaces, but the more parking, the better. We heard that comment a lot. Right now, we're having some issues at the dog park with the changes being made there on Soldiers Pass. We're having issues with hikers taking the dog park parking lot, so we're working to solve that problem. But all of these options would help with that as well. So
okay, all right, fix one problem and find another. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I would imagine the access of getting in and out of there, if there was a large event going on, you'd have to find some kind of traffic control device. And I don't think there's not a light at Posse Grounds Road, but there is one at Soldier Pass Road.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct, yes.
You never know. Sometimes they slide a stoplight in on you and you didn't notice it happened. So that can happen. Okay, so that was option A. We need to take our first break, so we're going to come back and hit B, C, and D. Probably a little faster. We hit A. But Steve Richardson's in studio today. He's Sedona Parks and Recreation Manager. The website again to take this survey, which is due by January 24th, is sedonaaz.gov/Posse Grounds Park survey. Stick around, countywide, back in just a couple minutes.
Two things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
The EPA says C&B Construction ranks in the top 1% nationally. C&B Construction invites you to see what energy efficiency and indoor air quality can be. We have won another Department of Energy Innovation Award, and C&B Construction is the only contractor in the country to win 6 consecutive EPA Indoor Air Plus awards. Experience our zero-energy, move-in ready homes at Crossroads at Mingus.
C&B Construction, locally respected, nationally recognized. Find out more at candbhomes.com.
Been hearing about the crazy benefits of CBD? Find out how CBD can help you at Sedona's #1 resource, CBD Sedona. Come in for a free consultation and let our trained medical staff help you find the perfect product for you. Pain relieving salves, full spectrum oils, CBD skincare, bath bombs, and even CBD for your pets. Come on by CBD Sedona today.
Terrifying jobs, high-flying linemen, take 3.
Josh, this is an absolutely terrifying job. Why do you do it?
It's a very demanding job, but very rewarding and exciting.
How much energy are you actually working with up there?
500,000 volts of electricity.
It's definitely not my line of work. Does anything shock you?
Yeah, distracted drivers terrify me.
Welcome back to Countywide. Steve Richardson, the Sedona Parks and Recreation Manager, is in studio with us today. SedonaAZ.gov/Posse Grounds Park survey is what you want to look for. They have got 4 proposals in terms of changes to Posse Grounds Park, or no change at all. That could be a possibility as well. Is that right, Steve? There could be no change at all.
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep,
okay.
And we did hear that a couple times in the process, yes.
Okay, and the comments are due by January 24th. The surveys are due by January 24th. And a phone number, if you want to call Sedona Parks and Recreation, it's 282-7098, 282-7098. All right, let's go to option B. We looked at option A. What's option B?
All right, option B, some similarities, a lot more change in this one. There's quite a bit more additional parking, which, again, we've heard that comment a lot. The multi-use field, which is our version of a soccer field, it's a little bit smaller than a regulation soccer field. That would stay where it is. And then there'd be a very large dedicated town lawn with a large covered ramada that's 140 feet by 100 feet. So it'd be a tall shaded area. And that's based off of tents that for Wine Fest would be an example where they rent a huge tent and put it right on our field. This would be a permanent structure based on that size. And then that would have a dedicated grass space for events. And then we would keep the upper softball field, but would enlarge it. So our softball fields right now are 275 feet, which if you play adult softball, you typically would want it to be 300 or 325. So that softball field would be enlarged. This option adds 4 dedicated lighted pickleball courts, as well as 2 additional, these would not be lighted, pickleball and volleyball courts, hard court. Like I said, a lot of additional parking in this one. The basketball court moves over near the skate park, and just a lot more grass space and a lot of walkability features, which that's something we heard a lot and I see a lot at the park is people love to just walk around Posse Grounds Park, walk with their dogs, and it's just really popular for that. So this adds some more walking paths as well.
Sure, I can see that. That's a beautiful, it's a beautiful view to be walking around Posse Grounds Park. You're kind of up on that knoll, and you can see you got Coffee Pot Rock back there and Grayback and all that. So that's pretty nice. I see the changes. Okay, these are really nice renderings of what is proposed here. Now, real quick, do we know the city trail system? I know they're working on also trying to get more trails that kind of, I want to say, run sort of parallel to 89A through the city to allow people, instead of to drive maybe to the grocery store, if they got to pick up a few things, you could just take a nice walk to the grocery store. I would imagine the trail systems will probably link up with this as well, maybe? Possibly?
Connector trails would be crucial, yes.
Okay.
One of the plans is we're adding a trailhead and parking because, like I said, the parking for Soldiers Pass, they're using the dog park area. So planning another connector trailhead within the park. That's happening already anyway. So
Gotcha. Okay, I know we've talked to the city before about that one. Let's move on to option C then. And this one's calling for, how much change is option C actually calling for?
Option C is another moderate change. I would say a little bit less than B, actually. B has more field space than option C. So option C, again, cuts from the 2 softball fields to the 1 softball field. It could be a 300 or even 325, so we'd expand that field. But we would lose the multi-use field in this option. Now, we can still use the outfield of that softball field for other multi-use sports and field activities. So there's that. Again, optional children's gardens in there. The tennis courts stay where they are, but there's even more parking added up near the tennis courts, which we see that area get congested at times. Again, there's a dedicated town lawn for special events, and that can be used in a variety of ways as well. And then again, we have that large Ramada for special events. It's just a different layout with this option compared to option B. Again, 4 dedicated pickleball courts, but they're laid out differently than the last option as well. Those would be lighted, as well as the 2 hard court pickleball and volleyball courts, south end of the park there. And just a lot more parking added in this one as well. This one would really be focused on special events, which, the park has become a hub for special events, and that is important and something we heard a lot during the evaluation. And in these times more than ever, I think some bigger, larger, dedicated open space is really, really important for future of events. So
yeah, we've learned that one, haven't we, this last year? You got to have that. You got to have the elbow room for everybody for sure.
That's right.
Very good. Very good. All right. And, let's see. Maybe we should take our last break and we'll come back with option D, and then anything else you'd like to get out real quick to the folks watching and listening. And we'll do that after we come back from our second break. So Sedona Parks and Recreation Manager Steve Richardson is joining us in the studio today. They have 4 options for Posse Grounds Park, and they're taking a survey from the public to find out what you'd like to see or not see there. And this is open to everybody, not just the residents of Sedona. The survey is going on through January 24th. SedonaAZ.gov/Posse Grounds Park Survey is the website you want to go to. If you need to make a phone call to Parks and Recreation, that's 282-7098. Stick around. Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
Who doesn't dream of home improvements? Perhaps your kitchen, the real living room. Maybe the bathroom, where you bookend your day. Langstrand Contracting is your one-stop shop from tear down to finishing touches. With 35 years of experience, Chris and his team will work with you to match your family's style and budget. Call Langstrand Contracting today for guidance in bringing your vision to life.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in Uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family-friendly, open 11:30 to 9, late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
Hi, this is Greg at Verde Solar Power. You know, Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verde Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verde Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle, get Gettles.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a few minutes left in the program. Steve Richardson's here. He's the Sedona Parks and Recreation Manager. Again, if you haven't heard me yet today on the show, it is sedonaaz.gov. If you go there, I'm sure you can find the survey from there, but if you go / Posse Grounds Park survey, you'll find it for sure. All comments are due by January 24th. Phone number for Parks and Recreation, 282-7098. All right, let's go over the last one, Steve, if we can. Posse Grounds Park, option D, which according to this that I printed off today, it is the most change.
Indeed. So option D is basically option B. We call this one the big enchilada. This is the everything. So, keep in mind with the more change, the more funding comes into play. But this one is option B. So the same changes there with a lot more grass space, a lot more walkability. Again, the dedicated pickleball courts, all those things, but this, instead of having the town lawn, would add a recreation center, community center. And that could be up to 40,000 square feet. In my opinion, that would be a little bit large for the park. But, that's the large, grandiose community center. So that's the big enchilada, option D, with the most amount of change, obviously. And with the recreation center, there's so many variables, the architecture alone, the design alone, and then not to mention the variety of amenities and offerings that would be within a recreation center can vary a great deal. So if this option is selected, there'll be some work to do on design and feasibility for funding and ensuring that this recreation center fits in the park and ultimately best serves the community.
So more of an indoor area as opposed to the outdoor area that you've had in the other three options then. So people would be going there to
Correct.
go inside a recreation center to go see whatever it is they're going to see that's taking place there.
Correct. So there'd be some fitness area, probably a walking path, some meeting rooms, things like that. That's typical of a recreation center. And then again, there can be indoor pickleball, there can be, a basketball gymnasium, a whole variety of options that could go within a recreation center. So.
Wow, with the weather as good as it is around here usually, outdoor pickleball sounds much better than indoor pickleball to me. But then again, that's why you want the public to, take the survey and tell you exactly what it is they're looking for and what they think is yay or nay on these four different proposals. Let's talk about funding. We've got about a minute and a half left, Steve. Funding-wise, it all, I guess it's not something we're going to look at until after we decide which of these options, or what's the next step and where do we go after this right here, after January 24th?
Correct. So next step, we're hoping to get a clear option from this survey. And then again, I want to invite people to leave their comments and suggestions because none of these are set in stone completely. I want to make sure that's clear. But once we get a baseline option, we can then bring it to council and discuss, again, feasibility, where the funding is going to come from and how that's going to work. But the next step here and the goal of this survey is to come up with the baseline concept option that we can present to City Council.
Now, the person the company that put together these proposals for you right here, are they going to take the additional information you get and then add it to these? Is that what's going to happen, or you, Sedona Parks and Recreation, going to take this new information and put it into these?
We're going to do that in-house. Yes.
Okay.
So make the tweaks accordingly from there, based off what we hear and based off, the options selected.
Okay. All right. We're out of time. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me today.
You're going to have to let us know how things turn out down the road. I know Lauren will probably send us the information when it becomes available. That would be great. So again, Sedona Parks and Recreation Manager Steve Richardson. Phone number for Parks and Recreation is 282-7098 in Sedona. The survey is going on till January 24th. That website is sedonaaz.gov/Posse Grounds Park survey. This is countywide. Thank you for watching, listening, and we'll talk to you again next time.